few people have asked about how I make the boxes. So this is how I make the boxes. I take a regular piece of poster board from Dollar Tree, 2 for $1. Just go there and get poster board. And to start off, what I do is I'll measure from the bottom 5 inches up. So just 5 inches up, and I make a line going all the way across the length of the board. From that line, I measure another I measure 10 inches up and make a line going across the length of the board. And then from that line, I measure another 5 inches and draw the line across again. So you have 5 inches, which is the bottom. You have 10 inches, which is the panel, and another 5 inches, which is the top. This part I'm going to cut off. And then what I do is, once I'm done that, I turn it the long way, like that, and I measure a 1/2 inch and make the line going all the way across. And from there, from that 1/2 inch line, I'll measure 5 inches, another 5 inches from that line, another 5 inches from that line, and another 5 inches from that line, and make the lines go all the way across. As you can see, the lighting's not that great, but so this little line here is for the glue. I call it the glue line, and these the panel, 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 panel. Now above that line, this here, I'm actually going to just cut off, get rid of it, because you don't need it. Once I make those cuts, once I cut that part off, and I cut this part off, then I'll score all the lines. Just score them, each one, in all directions, like that. So I'm going to do that, and I will be right back. And one other thing before I do that, this is the glue line. So the window is not going to go in the panel next to the glue line, but it's going to go into the panel next to that one. So the glue line, first panel, second panel is where the window would go. The window itself, I don't always put it in the center. Sometimes I might put it over to the side a little bit. It's really up to you where you put your window. I don't always make them the same, depending on how I want it to look, or my writing or design for the box. So for this one, I'll just put it in the center. And what I'll do is, from this line, I'll measure 2 inches down, and from this line, I'll measure 2 inches up, and maybe like about a 1/2 inch from each line, and put my square so I'll know where to cut the window. I mean, the windows can be whatever size you want them. You can make them smaller, bigger. You just have to use your judgment for what you want. Alright, I'll be back in a minute. Alright, so I've cut the pieces off that I needed to cut off, and I've scored all the lines. I cut the window out, and once again, this is my glue line, so I cut just this part off and this part because you don't need it. That's the glue line. And then I cut in between each of the lines. Well, I cut each line here on both sides. You can see it's on both sides. I cut each one. The flaps for the bottom and top, I kind of tore that off, but you won't see it. Not a big deal. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue. I use hot glue. Just put glue here, and I'm trying to do it with one hand. And of course it's gonna go on like that. So I'll be right back. I'm going to hot glue that. Alright, so there you have it. I went ahead and hot glued it. Kind of bent it up a little bit there because I pulled it apart, but it could be covered up with decoration. It's not a big deal. Normally, if I'm going to use vinyl that I've cut with the cutter, before I fold it and glue this, I put the vinyl on. If I'm going to paint it, I'll just go ahead and do it, and I can paint it while it's, you know, assembled. But with vinyl, of course, with all the pressing down and stuff, I put the vinyl on first and then, you know, assemble it. But right now, that's what we have so far. And let's see, the window is here. And I usually like to do it. It doesn't really matter either way. But that's the box with the window. And this will be the bottom. So these fold in. Sorry, trying to do it with one hand. So these fold in like that. And like that. And I always like to fold my flap to the back. So I'll bring this one up first. And then that one. I don't normally cut off. I mean, it's up to you. I don't normally cut these flaps off because it just makes the box more stable to me. So I'll fold this one in, put a little bit of glue in it, then fold that one in. Make sure the glue, you know, sticks. And then I'll put more hot glue here. And, you know, make sure it sticks. And then I'll go ahead and close it up down here. So I'll do that and I'll be right back. Alright, so now you can see that I've hot glued that down. So there's the box. And that's how it looks. The top hasn't, I'm not going to glue the top yet because I'm not going to use it. But as far as the inserts, let's see. Okay, for the inserts, the bottom one and the top one, they're both 6-inch squares. They're 6-inch squares. So what I do is I take the 6-inch square and I measure a 1/2 inch from each side. As you can see, from each side I measure a 1/2 inch. And I do that for both of them. And once I measure from a 1/2 inch from each side, I'll score it and then fold it. And just, I don't think I said it, but I make all my lines on the flat side of the box, not the shiny side, because I want the outside of the box to be the shiny part. I made my lines darker than what I normally do so that you can see them. But yeah, so once I score them and I fold them a 1/2 inch from each side, I'll cut a little slit for each one. You can see, hold on. You can see it's like a little, so that it will fold up on each one. Oh, wait a minute, what did I do? Okay, here we go. For each one like that. Because those are my tabs that I take and glue together. And before I glue them together, I'll take a glass that I'm using and I'll put it in the center so that I can actually trace the bottom of the glass. you know, once I trace the bottom of the glass, then I'll take and make a circle in the center. And for this one, I just used a regular water bottle cap. Just a water bottle cap to put in the center to trace. And then I cut it out. Depending on where the window is on the box, the circle may shift. Like for this one, I'll do the center. So of course, when it's in the center, then I want my circle to be in the center, as you can see. If the actual window is like to one side, like if I'm going to put the window over to the side, like closer to this side, have more space over here and a smaller space here, then of course it's going to shift the circle over some, because you want to be able to put the glass over to the side and it be held stable. So this one I'm just going to do in the center. And then I'll just cut a line down the center. And this is the bottom piece, not the top. I'll cut a line down the center so it's in two pieces. And I'll show you why, but I'm going to go ahead. Okay, for the top, same thing, measure 1/2 inch from each side. Cut my tabs after I score. Y'all can tell I don't do tutorials too often, but or at all. This is my first one. But yeah, after, you know, I'll score the lines and I'll cut my tabs. And I made a little mistake on this one, but it's not a big deal. I used the bottom of the glass for this one when I actually use normally the top of the glass. So it fits a little more snug, as you can see. This one is a little bit bigger, but it's not a big deal. And of course I cut it kind of quick, so it's not as neat. I'm just trying to do it for the tutorial real quick. So I'll go ahead and do my tabs and I'll be right back. Alright, so there you have both the inserts. This is the bottom and this is the top. For the top, let me move the bottom out the way. So for the top, there's another piece that I add to it. So what I do is I take a square, a piece of paper, cardstock, you know, part of the scrap that was left from the pieces that I cut off, and I take a 5" by 3.5" and I'll round the bottom a little bit so it looks like this, like just round the corners off so that it looks like this. When I do that, like a 1/2 inch down from the top and 1 inch in, like I'll make a mark a 1/2 inch down, and then I'll measure 1 inch in and I'll cut that so it can fold like that. So this is what you come up with. It's just a piece that's rounded at the bottom and 1 inch down. I'm sorry, 1/2 inch down, 1 inch in, and it's just folded. So what I do is this is going to be kind of rounded like this. Like I just kind of curve it so that it goes inside the glass. But I do attach this to the inside. So hold on, I'll show you what I mean. Hold on. Alright, here you go. So I just kind of fold it down and then I round it and put it inside. Try and do this with one hand. Inside, let's see. There we go. Inside like that so that it fits like right in here. And then I'll hot glue that on there. And you don't have to do this. I just do it because I like, you know, glass is kind of, you see right through it. Sometimes it's hard to see the design. So I just have this little insert to put in down in the glass so the design shows up more. But I'm going to hot glue that there. Okay, so I went ahead and hot glued it on. So it actually looks like this. Okay. So it looks like that. Alright, so then inside what's gonna look like, it's gonna, inside the box will be like this. And we're gonna put each one of these pieces on each side once it's in the box. And I just put a little dab of tape, put some tape right there. You can't really see it, some clear tape. And then this one, of course, goes inside like this. And that's what it looks like inside the box. So I'm going to put it in the box. Hold on. So I put the glass in the box. And I'm sorry. It's in the box. And I put in one insert. Just stick it in there and fold it down. The second insert I put in there and let it fold, fold it down. Sorry again, I'm trying to do this with one hand, so it's not the easiest. But it's in there now. And I just put a little piece of tape on each side where the seam is so that it stays together and holds the cup or the glass stable. And then for the top, of course, what I do is kind of just curve it so it'll go down in the glass. If you can see how it went down in the glass like that. And my lighting is not the best. Let's see if I can turn it a little bit so you can see. Alright, so as you can see, there's this piece, and I'm just sliding it down inside the glass, and then the insert just goes right on top, as you can see, like that. And then I'll just go ahead and, oh no, this is shaky. I'm not going to tape it, but you get the point. I'm not going to tape it. So once that's in there, let's see, hold on. Then I just close it up. So we'll close up the sides, the front, and then the back. And you have your box, and you just decorate it however you want to decorate it. And that's how I make my boxes. Of course, if you don't tape that down, it'll keep coming up. Sometimes I'll put a little dab of hot glue. Sometimes I'll use tape. Depends. And you can even put some little bit of shredded paper around it if you want to cover up the line, just to, And so that's it. That's the box. And like I said, you can put shredded paper in if you want to cover up where you cut the lines. And then you just decorate it however you want to decorate it. And that's it. Hope it helps. If you have any questions, you can let me know. All right, ladies, have a good night.